If Dr. King were alive today, what books would he recommend to help us understand race, justice, and equality? I'm Connie, BookNook Librarian. Let's see. 3 stories, 3 lives, and 1 question. How do you navigate a world that judges you before it even knows you? All of these books tackle identity, racism, and courage in ways that will have you thinking about them long after the last page. I think Blended, for sure. Blended by Sharon Draper, The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas, and Dear Martin by Nick Stone. Why these? Because I think that these 3 books speak directly to challenges that we're still facing. Let's start with Blended. In this book, you meet Isabella, a biracial girl who is torn between 2 divorced parents and 2 identities. She's Bella for one, Isabella for the other, and her life is really divided between her 2 parents. And her 2 parents have a great deal of division between them as well. You're so exotic. You're so unusual. I mean, like, what are you really? These are questions that Isabella has to deal with all the time. 11-year-old Isabella is used to these kinds of probing questions, these kinds of personal questions. So how does she navigate them? What does she do? How does she cope? This book is so amazing. From the first page to the last, Sharon Draper delivers an incredible story of truth, of justice, of understanding who you are and accepting all of it. Dr. King once said, people fail to get along because they fear each other, and they fear each other because they don't know each other. Isabella's story reminds us how essential it is to embrace every part of who we are and see the humanity in others, no matter how different they might seem. In The Hate You Give, you meet Star Carter, who witnesses a police shooting of her best friend Khalil, and she finds herself at the center of a fight for justice. Angie Thomas writes a story that is raw and real, even though it's fictional. It is so much just a really incredible window, if you're me, and possibly a mirror if you are Star. You see the need for activism and the very themes that Dr. King fought for tirelessly. He said, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. So Star's decision to use her voice and speak out against that injustice echoes Dr. King's call for peaceful yet powerful action. This book shows the personal side of that activism and why it's so necessary today. So finally, there's Dear Martin by Nick Stone, and it is in fact written in letters, and it takes us into the mind of Justice McAllister, who is Ivy League bound until a wrongful arrest forces him to question everything that he thought he knew about the world. Using Dr. King's teaching as a guide, Justice tries to navigate this world that seems stacked against him. That's part of it's called the Martin experiment. He is looking to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s teachings to guide him. It doesn't just reflect King's teachings, it proves how relevant they are in today's world. I just wanted to look at the idea of Dr. King looking at a book list and saying, yeah, I totally recommend that book. And these 3 are just phenomenal. So I think he definitely would highly recommend these as essential reading. Also, I've got to say there's so much to say about each of these books just alone. I'm happy to do an episode about just one of them. Thanks so much for joining me for this video. And if you could give us a like and subscribe, I would love it. Thank you.